Ladies and gentlemen, we're very fortunate to have back on our show a man who was on the first show of the season. He's a major influence on American music, and he's written such songs as Where Have All the Flowers Gone, Turn, 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 and with Lee Hayes of the Weavers, the song If I Had a Hammer. I think I'm safe in saying there's not a single singer of folk songs in America that doesn't know several of the songs that this man's composed. And also such songs as Michael Row the Boat Ashore, On Top of Old Smoky, Goodnight Irene, Kisses Sweeter Than Wine, and Weem Away are just a few of the songs that he has introduced and kept alive through his singing. We're very proud to have this man on our show, not only because he's a great man, a fine man, and a great performer, but also because he performs rarely on television. In fact, he's only made one major television appearance in the last 17 years. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to present on our show for the second time, Mr. Pete Seeger.
How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. Old age is golden, so I've heard said, but sometimes I wonder as I crawl into bed, with my ears in a drawer, my teeth in a cup, my eyes on the table until I wake up. As sleep dims my vision, I say to myself, is there anything else I should lay on the shelf? But though nations are warring and business is vexed, I'll still stick around to see what happens next. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. I get up each morning, dust off my wits, open the paper, read the obits. If I'm not there, I know I'm not dead, so I eat a good breakfast and go back to bed. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. But in spite of it all, I'm able to grin and think of the places my get up has been. If they're going to make a patriarch out of me, I'll fix them. I'll sing you a pop song of 200 years ago. Come to think of it, I'll sing you little bits of some other songs of other American wars. 1846, war with Mexico. Not everybody agreed with this one. You know, Abe Lincoln, he voted against it himself. But they went in, soldiers did. Pretty little pink, I once did think you and I would marry. But now that you have turned me down, I'll no longer tarry. I put my knapsack on my back, my gun upon my shoulder, fly away to Mexico to be a valiant soldier. 1863, well, wasn't agreement here neither. Let's see. But a great song, one of America's greatest. John Brown's body lies a-mouldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a-mouldering in the grave. John Brown's body lies a-mouldering in the grave, but his soul goes marching on. 1898, war with Spain, invasion of the Philippines, more disagreement. Mark Twain thought that President McKinley should be boiled in oil, but that didn't stop McKinley, and the soldiers went in. This is not a very pretty song. Damn, damn, damn the Filipino, cross-eyed, cocky-eyed ladrone. And beneath the starry flag, civilize them with a crag and go back to our own beloved home. If there's any Philippine people listening, I hope you pardon me. I'm just trying to get the history out. A far better soldier song is one written in 1917 by black soldiers, and every GI since has learned it. Oh, the coffee that they give you, they say is mighty fine. Good for cuts and bruises, tastes like iodine. I don't want no more of army life. Gee, but I wanna go. Gee, but I wanna go. Gee, but I wanna go home. I learned that song myself. It was back in 1942. I was a member of a good platoon. We were on maneuvers in Louisiana one night by the light of the moon. The captain told us to ford a river. That's how it all begun. We were knee-deep in the big muddy. The big fool said to push on. Well, the sergeant said, "Sir, are you sure this is the best way back to the base?" "Sergeant, go on. I've forded this river about a mile above this place. It'll be a little soggy, but just keep slogging. We'll soon be on dry ground." We were waist deep in the big muddy. The big fool said to push on. Sergeant said, "Sir, with all this equipment, no man will be able to swim." "Sergeant, don't be a nervous Nelly," the captain said to him. "All we need is a little determination. Men, follow me, I'll lead on." We were neck deep in the big muddy. The big fool said to push on. All at once the moon clouded over. We heard a gurgling cry. A few seconds later, the captain's helmet was all that floated by. The sergeant said, "Turn around, men, I'm in charge from now on." And we just made it out of the big muddy with the captain dead and gone. We stripped and dived and found his body stuck in the old quicksand. I guess he didn't know that the water was deeper than the place he'd once before been. Another stream had joined the big muddy about a half mile from where he'd gone. We were lucky to escape from the big muddy when the big fool said to push on. Well, I'm not going to point any moral. I'll leave that for yourself. Maybe you're still walking, you're still talking, you'd like to keep your health. But every time I read the paper, them old feelings come on. We're waist deep in the big muddy. The big fool says to push on. Waist deep in the big muddy. The big fool says to push on. Waist deep in the big muddy. The big fool says to push on. Waist deep, neck deep, soon even a tall man will be over his head. We're waist deep in the big muddy. The big fool says to push on.
We'll be right back with Pete Seeger, Pat Paulson, and Lou French on the second half of the Smothers Comedy Brothers Hour.